So the first of the two semi-finals in the Pettitts Senior Hurling Championship is on Sunday at 2:15 in Chadwicks Wexford Park. And luckily the ticket situation is different now that the attendance is significantly increased, so there should be room for anyone who wants to go to the games, and anyone who can't go to the games, they'll be live streamed as usual on Wexford GA TV. We'll go to Benny first of all for his thoughts on this game. Benny, Ferns have played against both of these teams in this year's championship. What did you make of both sides?
Yeah, first of all, we met Glynn-Barntown early on, and they didn't surprise me because they always bring that aggression, but they also brought a lot of pace to the game. They were very good up front, and they gave us no breathing space. And I think they're after getting better game by game as well. You know, Craig Doyle, who's outstanding, John Lacey and Mark Fanning pulling the strings there in the goal as always. So yeah, they're serious contenders there this year, I think.
And Des, where do you see the game being won and lost now? How are the key battles, do you think?
Well, I think John Lacey's a big one for Glynn. Sure, he's been close to player of the championship. So I'd say the Raps have a decision: do they put Glenbrien out on him, or do you know, if they do that, then it's probably moving Ben Edwards back. He probably wouldn't want to go back because he had a good championship as well. But John Lacey is a big issue. I was really impressed with the Raps in the first half. I thought their use of the ball was so good last week. But one thing Glynn-Barntown have is they have a huge work rate. That is probably their strength of their team. They have no real standout player apart probably from John Lacey, but their work rate is high, and you're going to need a high work rate because the Raps like to play the ball around a little bit like the Shelmaniers. So the Glynn-Barntown are going to need to have a high work rate up in their forwards, or else I think the Raps will win this one.
And Ed, one thing that I suppose needs to be mentioned is that Glynn-Barntown have had 3 championship games so far, and they've had 4 lads sent off. Do you think they can win a championship if they're going to continue in that vein?
Yeah, as they said, they have a high work rate, and usually teams that have a high work rate it does lead to sending off sometimes, you know, missed time tackles and stuff like that. But getting back to the game itself, like it's 2001 since the Rapparees were in a county final, and it's 2003 since Glynn-Barntown were in one. And the ironic thing about it is Declan Root was a manager, who is manager of the Raps, was centre back that day, and Shane Carley, who is manager of Glynn, was centre back the last time Glynn was in it. So that's a bit of trivia for you, Peter. But you know, Glynn are a well organised team, hard working team. Des mentioned about John Lacey, will Liam Ryan match him up? The problem I'd have with that is if they put Craig Doyle full forward, then it's a serious advantage to Glynn-Barntown. And Glynn are very well organised. Jared Dempsey will probably man-mark young Pepper, who was very impressive the last day, you know. But of course the advantage that Glynn would have on most teams is Mark Fanning is simply outstanding in the goal, and he sets up so many attacks, and he's a scoring threat from frees, and sometimes he even solos up the field and scores from play. So I'd see that as an advantage, but it's definitely all to play for. It's definitely going to be close, and if you want an example of that, Ferns lost to Glynn-Barntown by 3 points. They also lost to the Raps by 3 points. So it's just an indication of how close the game can be.
Yeah, we do have a very tight championship, Benny, there's no doubt about that. I suppose like you got quite close to both of these sides, and your year is finished, but you know, there's nothing in it really.
No, the championship, it's very open this year, and I think all the teams are very evenly matched. There's the fitness levels of all teams at the minute is through the roof. Everybody's been doing their bit in lockdown, yeah. But look, I think we were bet by 3 points by both these teams. It's going to be a close game. Both teams bring work rate, and I think the Rapparees, they brought good work rate, but I think they faded away a bit in the second half, I think. But Glynn just kept the momentum going that day. You know, we missed a few chances, but in years gone by, Glynn might have threw in the towel, but this year it was a different story, and they've just gotten better and better.
So while the camera is still on you anyway, Benny, who do you think is going to win?
I think Glynn might shade it there. I think they might shade it by a couple of points. It'll be a close game, but I'm tipping Glynn.
And Des, who are you going to tip?
I'm going to tip the Raps, but I think they need more from the out half forward line. You know, in regard to scoring wise, they got a lot of scores from midfield and the half back line, and I think if they get a few scores, and the likes of Kevin Ryan and Mossy Mann coming on, I think the Raps slightly, but I wouldn't be surprised with them.
And Ed, who are you going to?
Yeah, I'm going with Des. I think Nick Doyle, I think Mossy Mann realised that Nick Doyle, the ball was falling in front of him when it fell out of his hand, and no better man than Mossy to gain on them. I think the Raps will shade it, but it's going to be not only a close game.
So two of the lads have gone for the Raps and one have gone for Glynn. I'm going to tip Glynn as well. I think they just have might have a little bit more fight when the last 5 or 10 minutes come along.